Okay, hi everyone. We've got a Meet the Viewer series today. This is Simon. Simon has been in touch for a number of months, but luckily his work situation changed a little bit, and you've got a little bit of free time. So you sent me an email, mate, didn't you?
Yeah.
A week or so ago.
I'm free.
So here we are, and today we are driving a Kia EV6. What model is it, Simon? Because I know they do different models, don't they?
Yeah, this is the GT-LS all-wheel drive with heat pump, if you wanted to know it had a heat pump as well.
Okay, is that an option, is it?
Yes, it is.
Right, it's an extra option, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have a little gab about the heat pump after. So what sort of brake horsepower is this one running? Is it the one that runs around about 400? Is that the one that I'm thinking
It's
of?
321
Okay,
PS,
I think it was the one that I'm thinking of.
It's not the stupid fast GT one.
No, it's got about 600 brake, that one, isn't it? I've seen people, wheels spinning that one around car parks and
I
bits and
could have had one of those, but I prefer to have some comfort.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think 320 brakes are plenty
Snuff.
for everyone. Now, the interesting thing for me with this car, and the reason why I've come all over to quite a way, it's taken me about an hour and a half to get over here to Wakefield. Reason why I've come to say hello to Simon and his Kia was this was one of the vehicles that I was looking at before I chose the Tesla. Now this is a bit of an awkward junction, mate. Are you testing yourself out with this route?
Oh yeah.
Like it. Good effort. No problems. We're just going to let Simon concentrate. Don't want to crash. Good job. Yeah, it was one of the vehicles that I was looking at when I purchased the Tesla, which I now haven't got. So it's nice for me to actually get in the car, and I've only literally set the cameras up and I'm here, and I've been in the car probably 5 minutes, and my honest opinion is it's lovely put together, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got good build quality for what you're effectively paying for it.
Wow, I am really impressed.
Now I've got rid of the annoying squeak that I told you about. That's all right.
Yeah. Simon did have a little bit of a squeak in the headline, and that's, in my experience though, Simon, the Gen 1 of any car always has a few little teething problems. I know my Golf, with the Mark 8 Golf, I've had loads of problems with it, to be honest, and I think until they go Golf 8.5, where they iron out those things, it's always going to be the same. So you've had electric cars before, haven't you? Didn't you say to me that you've had a Jag?
Yeah, the one prior to this immediately was the Jaguar I-Pace HSE,
Okay.
so the top end of the range for that one,
Yeah.
which was one of the best cars I've ever owned.
Excellent. Yeah. I've not actually ever even been in one of the Jag I-Paces. My local dealership did promise they were going to lend me one. That reminds me, I've got to chase them up. I might go and try and nick one of them for a weekend, mate. All good. And just noticing, I know we said we weren't going to look at your driving much, mate, but you didn't signal at that roundabout. You've had some training, mate, haven't you?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Go on then, tell my viewers what type of training you've done. Don't necessarily express any opinions. We're not on slaughtering anyone today, mate, but you've done some, advanced stuff, or a few bits of advanced stuff, haven't you, Simon?
Yeah, so, I passed my driving test before the 90s.
Slightly before me.
It was in the,
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the last 2 weeks of 1989, so just as the 90s were coming in. But
Okay.
like any young lad, I, in that time, razzed around in my mother's Fiesta until I crashed it. Then she got another one.
Did you crash it as well?
Yes.
Oops. Common story.
And got, and I got some points on my licence for speeding. And
Okay.
I was a bit of a youth.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I got into my second vehicle, which was a big Land Rover.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm driving this Land Rover like it's a Fiesta, or probably more like a Mark II Escort, which has had as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a bit of a risk to the road if I hit somebody. So I went and did IAM.
Okay, cool.
And like I said, that's 27 years ago, I think.
Good.
So it's been a while.
And those things. Oh, what was that beeping there? Was that something of a speed limit change on your car? Was it?
No, this is a very needy car.
Okay.
And it doesn't like the centre line.
Lane keep assist, yeah.
I've turned it off as much as I can.
Okay, it's one of my bugbears. I have to turn it off every single time I get into my Golf, so I'm with you on that. But it's good that you've done some further training. Oh, this is a good little junction as well.
Oh, you'll love this junction.
Downhill into a stop junction. I like this one.
Good view ahead.
Yeah, it is. Lovely view.
But the views to the side are absolutely terrible. There's a wall here that prevents you from seeing where you need to see.
Okay.
You've basically got to use the awareness of the people coming up the hill towards us and use them as a reference point.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go in front of the Fiesta.
I'll let you
wait the Fiat take the road.
Yeah, I'll let you concentrate, mate.
It's all right.
Perfect. Yeah, good little junction. Nicely dealt with as well. So yeah, I can see already. I feel dead comfortable. I've got my hand on my knee. I'm not jumping for my imaginary brake pedal, mate. So I feel dead comfortable with you in the car straight away, Simon. So that's a good sign. I'm not going to really talk about your driving. I don't think I need to. But if anything comes up that I see, I'll have a quick mention. But we're here to have a look at the car. What made you choose Kia then? Because I said to you while I was waiting in yours before we did come out, I said I've had Kias before myself, and to be honest, there is probably not now, but there probably is a little bit of a less of a reputation with a Kia compared to some of the other premium brands. What made you go for the Kia? Was it the value aspect that I think Kia stand for?
And let's face it, I was coming from one of those premium brands.
Yeah, the Jag, yeah, absolutely.
It was all 20%. So between the Jaguar I-Pace and this,
yeah,
it was 20% cheaper,
yeah,
and would go 20% farther on 20% less battery.
Brilliant.
And then I look, when you look at the technology, and as I was saying earlier, the things that were letting the Jaguar down were some of its technology.
Yeah.
This is right at the top end of the scale.
It is.
I mean, it's not as much of a computer on wheels as a Tesla, but
It's a new car though.
it's got everything that you would want.
Yeah.
So it was either this or the Ioniq 5.
Okay.
Although I'm a child from the 70s and 80s, I don't like the look of the Ioniq 5. I like the curves of the EV6.
Yeah, I like the shape of the EV6 as well. I did have a look at the Ioniq 5, and you're probably maybe my sort of age as well, Simon. I think. Are you halfway through the century-ish?
No, I'm slightly ahead of you.
Oh yeah? You
Yeah,
look better
yeah,
if you're age than I do, mate.
Yeah,
Gee whiz.
I've got a couple of years on you.
Okay, but you'll remember the old transit vans with the bench seats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's what I thought of the Ioniq 5 when I first got in it.
I hadn't made that connection. Interesting.
But that was the thing that originally put me off, and I honestly don't think that the quality seems as good as it is in this Kia.
Yeah.
So,
And as for Kia itself,
yeah.
My wife's got a Kia.
Okay.
We're a 2 EV family.
All right.
So
Okay.
she's got a Soul EV.
Brilliant.
So we were into that for a good 18 months when we made the decision to get another one.
Okay.
And that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is for what you get in a car that size.
Yeah.
It actually, in some cases, outperforms this,
I see.
which is embarrassing. But
Yeah. They are getting better, and there's not many of that size. I'll let you get onto the motorway safely before I go, mate. I am sticking my glasses on because it's a bit bright.
yeah, I know.
Don't think the Guardian van helped him out there much, did he?
Not at all.
No, you did.
He was doing everything he could to help there.
He did. You did brilliantly, and so did the driver of Malcolm Logistics. So a big shout out to them. There's enough of my subs who will and viewers who will get on the internet to lambast someone. So if you know anyone at Malcolm Logistics, give them a pat on the back. Nice work, mate. Well done. Cool. Are you okay talking and driving as well? It is an important safety part of. I'm going to cover it with all my viewers that I come to see. Was it a part of your IAM and ROSPA stuff that you did many years
commentary
ago?
drive was, and it was much more, in those days, it was much more of a compulsory thing, and trying to be quite clipped in your approach, basically replicating what the police driver handbook was saying.
That's right.
They're a bit more relaxed these days.
Yeah.
But certainly it was a skill.
Yeah.
And a difficult skill.
It is, yeah, it is. And people always say to me about talking to camera, but it's what I do on a daily basis. I can, even there, notice how much I picked up of exactly what went on. even though I'm still gabbing to you. And it is a skill that you do learn. Would you say that that commentary that you've experienced with IAM and the ROSPA stuff that you've done, what would you say that that's an aid to a higher level of driving and observations?
I do, because a lot of the time, whenever I'm doing new roads or I'm out in a new car or something like that, it is one of those things you can pick up, and it helps to just lift the level up a little bit.
Yeah, brilliant.
And as for general conversation like we're having now, my wife will attest to this. If we can be in the middle of a conversation and I stop talking, it's because immediately you've switched your focus into what's happening around you.
Perfect. And that's what good drivers should do. And me and Simon have had a little gab in his, probably for about 15, 20 minutes prior to coming out, but we've never met before. And it's a testament to how good of a driver you are to deal with that situation with a lorry in the way that you've dealt with it. Brilliant, mate, really good. So the car, back to it, it's lovely and quiet. We're sitting here doing 60 miles an hour. It's lovely and quiet. We've got the air conditioning blowing as well. Have you found a difference in the refinement of this compared to the Jag? Would you say they're on a similar sort of level? Or do you notice little things where they probably have been able to save the money?
There are little things where they have been able to save the money.
Okay.
But they are really minor, pernickety things that...
So to save 20%?
They've got to do something.
Yes, they have, absolutely. Are you happy with your choice to come to Kia as opposed to the Jag? Would you change anything with your decision if it happened again?
No, I wouldn't. Like as we alluded to earlier, I've had a few niggles to start off with.
Yeah.
But the dealer network has been brilliant at trying to sort those out. Good. I didn't help the case by putting a dent in the back end, but that's the way of the world. It is, absolutely.
And while you mentioned it, I wasn't going to mention it, mate, but
I thought I better had.
That's all right, that's fine.
So one of my friends would jump into the comments and go, "Oh, you didn't mention that big dent in the back."
We don't know whether it was a mistake from Simon's part or whether there was maybe a hill hold fail, but Simon did dink the back end of his car into the edge of his garage, just where the garage starts. There's like a little bricked edge, and unfortunately the design of the car, Simon has dinked the top part, and there's a few lights and bits and bobs that need replacing. It's a few quid's worth of damage, mate, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So we all make mistakes, accept them and learn from them. That's what I always try and do. It's higher than I thought, this EV6, mate. It's more like, for example, if we look at the 3 Series in front, I've had one of them. It's a fair bit higher. The driving position's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, you do get you're a little bit further up, and that's one of the things with EVs, because particularly when they're on the EMP platform like this, the batteries are underneath. You do get a slightly higher driving position compared to something else that's of similar size.
Yes, yeah. I didn't see that in the Tesla, to be fair. I felt quite low whenever I drove the Tesla, but the view out of the front of the Tesla is immense. It's probably one of the best views that I've seen.
Yeah.
What's the economy like of the EV6? I know you said it was 20% maybe better than the Jag. I probably would expect that with the newer technology and the I think Kia and Hyundai, as we've got to call them now. I think they've invested quite heavily in their EV platform, their EV technology. They run 800-volt systems similar to the Porsche, don't they?
Yeah. And I am, by my own confession, a bit of a data nerd.
Wicked.
So I've got a record of every single journey that the Jag made and every single journey that this has made.
Quality.
Yeah, it's a strange confession to make, but so I can tell you that this is averaging 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour over the last 5,500 miles.
Pretty good.
Which is giving me a range of about 230.
Okay, cool.
But most of that's been in the winter, so I'm expecting it to get better.
To go higher, yeah. What's the battery size on these?
Usable 74, I think.
74. Okay, cool. Sound. Nice spot with the lorry as well, mate. Well done. All good. So would you say, I think I know the answer already, but The extra that electricity has skyrocketed. It's saving you a bit coming across to this, but it's probably still more expensive than it probably was when you had your Jag to operate an electric car.
Yeah, and it's the difference that's the problem. So we were on a cheap overnight electricity rate at home.
Yeah.
That's currently around 10 pence per kilowatt.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. That means that my pence per mile's still
really low.
Yeah, significantly lower than any petrol car could get to.
Yeah.
I think my wife's car is currently 2 pence per mile.
Wicked.
Because she only ever charges at home.
Yeah, that's right.
It's when you're out and about and you're paying scalper prices for electricity or the rapid chargers that it makes a difference.
Yeah, I've seen a few of these EV6s around the networks, and like I said, back in yours, I'm not letting everyone know what other vehicle we've got, but we've got an EV in the family as well, and we visit the Ionity network. I've seen a few of the Kias at Ionity. Yeah. Do you get the Ionity discount with purchasing a Kia like you do as a part of the Volkswagen Audi group?
I don't know whether the discount is the same, but certainly one of the benefits of getting this car, when I ordered it, was a 12-month Ionity subscription to reduce the cost down.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's about 30p a kilowatt a
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be similar, to be honest.
So you do tend to hunt those out, and of course they are 800 volt, so they're
super fast charging. Wicked.
Yeah, I've had some variable results.
Yeah.
But not at some of the big hubs. They tend to be the smaller Ionity ones.
Yeah, I must admit, I've generally only used them for a splash and dash just to get me home. Yeah. And sometimes I'll be there for 10, 12 minutes, and that's given me a massive boost to get me, another 120 miles up or down the road. So, the networks, they're not bad. Are you finding the networks, do you still do a fair few miles as well? You said you've done, 5,000 miles in this. What would your normal mileage be, Simon?
Yeah, it's pre-COVID, I was a 25,000 mile a year car.
Okay, yeah.
A lot less now.
Okay.
I'm still well over 10.
Okay.
But not up to that sort of range. So, they do tend to be longer journeys.
Okay.
If my clients are in various cities around the country, I will tend to drive to them. Yeah.
Do you find the charging stations are getting busier and busier significantly over the last maybe 12 to 18 months as well?
Yes. And I'll go back to my data question.
Yeah.
And we can talk a little bit about one of my other hats, but not just anecdotally.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that from 2019, or the middle of 2019 onwards, the infrastructure has failed to keep pace with the number of new vehicle registrations. So when I first had the Jag, there were around 4 vehicles on the road for every charger.
Yes.
Now it's 13.
Doesn't surprise me. I drove past, obviously coming over here, Burton Wood Services in Warrington, and they weren't queuing, but I think there was one space in a Tesla charging base. That was it. So it is a problem.
We're starting to see it turn around.
Yes.
The first quarter of this year, it's just tipped around the other way.
Okay, and it needs to as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It absolutely needs to.
People talk about range anxiety, and I've never really held firm with range anxiety. I think it used to be charger anxiety.
Yes.
Can I get to the next
charger? And I think there's enough. You just might be in for a little bit of a wait.
So that's what we've come to now.
Yeah, I think so too. It's interesting. It's interesting as well. Even the prices. Just going back to me selling my Tesla, I sold it. It probably cost me about £6,000 for about 14 months of ownership, which isn't too bad.
No.
Still an expensive one. However, if I'd had sold it probably 6 or 8 months earlier, I would have made a profit on it, because everything just went boom, and it dropped, didn't it? And the prices of electric vehicles have taken a little bit of a hit with the current prices of the electricity as well. Is that across the board in your experience? Because I know you've got a little bit to do with electric vehicle leasing as well, Simon, haven't you?
Yeah, and to be honest, the price hit that came in the end of 2022.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was driven by the opposing demand and supply issues.
Yeah.
So we're still in a situation where a lot of manufacturers are only supplying enough electric vehicles
Yeah.
to meet their fleet
Yes.
carbon
Yes.
targets.
Yes.
So subsequently, there is a peak in December and January
Yeah.
of cars hitting the market, new cars hitting the market, which is having a negative effect on used cars hitting
Yeah.
the market. I was the same boat. When I part exchanged my Jag,
Yeah.
it was the week before the prices crashed.
Okay.
So I was quite lucky.
Okay. Yeah.
My car appeared on Auto Trader 3 weeks after I'd part-exed it
Yeah.
for £6,000 less than I part-exed it for.
Well, you did well.
I did well.
You did well. But it is what it is. I think we've lived in unprecedented times regarding value of cars because they've all been super high with the parts problems. The list price of this vehicle, if you don't mind me asking, I'm suspecting it's going to be in excess of £40,000. Would it be?
Just over.
Ish, just
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
I'm just going to use some of the power of the vehicle on this hill.
Not a problem.
But,
It'd be nice to see it as well, to be fair. Obviously the electric instant torque, but it'd be interesting to see how it delivers it in relation to what I'm used to with the Tesla as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're on a curve, so we're not going to bean it too much, but it does.
Oh,
Yeah, you've still got plenty in the tank there.
Absolutely have. Absolutely. And for normal road driving, I don't think there's a better way of delivering the power than the electrics. I've fallen in love with them as well, to be honest, mate.
It's the availability of that acceleration.
Yes.
You did a piece to camera a couple of weeks ago on your way back from Nantwich or wherever it was, and it was the ability to get out of trouble or potential trouble.
And there was one, I remember it, yeah.
It just gives you that option.
Yeah, I think it was coming onto the Knowsley Expressway down by me.
Yeah.
And there was a little situation where I was just a little bit hemmed in and I was able to go, no,
I'm out of here.
I'm out here.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to have that ability.
Like
but
that
then you get the example of that vehicle that's just gone tearing past us. And you've already alluded to it within the first number of minutes talking that you probably grew up quite early and realised these things that we're operating, it's a serious business, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I said, I was driving a Land Rover, ex-military Land Rover, that weighed 2.5 tons.
Yeah.
And I was probably driving it like it was a Ford Escort.
Yeah.
And actually, what opened my eyes the most was when somebody ran into the back of me.
Yeah.
I'd stopped at a school crossing.
Yeah.
And a lady behind me hit the back of the Land Rover. I didn't even initially realise I'd been hit because I thought my toolbox had fallen over. Got out, and there was a Vectra impaled onto the back of the Land Rover. And it was more of a Corsa-sized Vectra.
Yeah.
The tow hook had gone through the radiator. The bonnet was folded in half. It was a mess.
Yeah.
Excuse me for just a second.
That's fine. So yeah, and you hardly felt it.
Hardly felt it. And
Excellent.
I thought, if it had been the other way around, and I realised I was doing. So that's why I went and did the IAM.
Yeah.
And then when I did my IAM test,
Yeah.
the police driving examiner that did it said you should do ROSPA because I think you could pass
Yeah.
the higher level.
Yeah.
And I did. I got gold.
Good.
So I was quite pleased with that.
Your standard's really good as well, Simon. It is. Like I said, we've just had a normal drive and a little bit of a gab, so it's perfect. But the car's lovely, mate. I like the finish on the dash as well. It's textured as well, isn't it? Don't want to put my greasy fingers all over your car.
I'll send you the bill.
Absolutely. Is there any bits of tech that stand out for you? I do like. I think they've nicked it off Tesla. When you put your indicators on, you've got the circular cameras that come up on the dash. I think that's quite nice.
It is quite nice, and you can build that into your drive. It becomes another blind spot check. So you don't replace your shoulder, you don't replace your mirror.
Perfect.
But I always find what I'm doing is, particularly coming onto motorways, it's a shoulder mirror check, and then just as I'm coming over the line,
then have another little glance. It's
Just a little
exactly
there.
what I used to do with the Tesla, but the better positioned here than you were on a Tesla, because they were on the screen, and wherever you could change where you wanted them, but my hand always seemed to be in the way on the steering wheel because it was sort of like here.
yeah.
So
They're not great in the rain.
okay.
They do tend to puddle up with water on the cameras themselves.
Okay.
But,
What I'm going to do, are we going to the right?
We're going to the right.
Right, I'm just going to get my video camera out on my phone. Just put a right signal on for us. So there we go. That's what I'm talking about, everyone. So it's a lovely little extra. And Simon's absolutely right to use them as an extra as opposed to replacing your proper checks. Just going back to what you said about the weight of the Land Rover, 2.5 tons. I'm suspecting this won't be 2.5, but I would be suspecting it's getting on for
that. Yeah.
2.2 or something like
Yeah.
that. That would be my estimate. How do you find driving that extra weight? Is it something that you have to be conscious of, or with your experience driving a Jag and other vehicles before, is it something that's just like, it's not a problem because I never push it to that extra limit, do you think?
I think it was useful to have the Jag.
Yeah.
The Jag was on air suspension and, to be honest, ridiculous 22-inch wheels.
Yes.
But it did control its weight very well.
Yeah.
You noticed it if you were pressing on.
Yeah.
And I found that the brakes were a bit inadequate.
Okay.
For the weight of the vehicle.
Yeah.
But it would tend to push on into a corner and understeer a little bit.
Okay.
So having had that experience getting in this is on coil steels.
Yeah.
And it rides very well.
It does.
It controls its weight very well.
It does. I think the ride in this is a step above than the Tesla, to be honest. I think the Tesla, for me, was quite sporty. This doesn't feel quite as sporty. It feels a little bit more compliant and a little bit softer. I know is there different settings that you can change, or is it like you said, just because it's on coils and it's not adaptive suspension?
Yeah.
It's not able to be changed too much. Is it
That was the thing you got with the GT. The GT's got adaptive damping.
Okay.
And this hasn't.
Okay.
Where's easy gonna go?
Nice job, mate. That was really good. They came out of there a little bit quick.
Go on. There you go.
They did.
So it's a good bit of road, this, because you've got to be really disciplined on letting people through.
Yeah. Yeah, I did notice one earlier on as well, that you had a meeting situation where we should have had priority, but obviously people were going through, and it was lovely just to see your reaction of just, well, I'm going to hold back. And interestingly, we've just found another one exactly as I speak.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, where that red car's put itself now, you get heavies coming down this road. And I don't want to pay for a new mirror.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'll be a bit bold here now anyway.
Nice.
See if we can get that transit to hold.
Nice job, mate. You won't. You're capable of dealing with this. It's not an issue for you, mate. Excellent. So is there any bits of technology or about the Kia that you don't like? And this isn't an advert for Kia. It's just, we've come to have a chat with Simon. We've got to find out what his driving's like. I think that's a box ticked already. But it is about the car. It's nice to have an honest opinion. Are there any bits about it that you don't like?
Well, let me join two bits of things together. So, as part of the advanced driver training, you get to learn the system of car control.
Yeah.
And adapting that to an electric vehicle is a skill.
Yeah.
But one of the parts of that is the giving and receiving of information. And you are trained to use the brake lights as a giving signal.
Absolutely.
I've heard you comment on this before.
Yeah.
Now, in a Tesla, you can do that. It will show the brake lights
When you
under
lift.
Regenerative.
Correct.
And not only that, on your little car on the dashboard,
Yeah.
it even shows you the brake lights.
It does, yeah.
So you know that you're giving that signal.
Yeah.
What I've found with the Kia is it will put the brake lights on even on the very slightest amount of regen. So I've got a
Okay.
very small amount of regen on now.
Yes.
It
and
may
the
well
brake-
be showing the brake lights.
Yes, and I was conscious of that even in the Tesla, and you have to be if you're operating these cars with the regen on how they make them nowadays. Totally agree. Go on, mate. Sorry.
But this is worse than I've come across. The Jag was always on a decelerometer.
Yeah.
And I found it very good. You
Yes.
could judge when it was going to show it.
Yeah.
And this will show it at ridiculous times.
Yeah.
For example, you've come over the M62 today.
I have, yes.
As you come right over the very top,
Yeah.
you're dropping down the other side. It's not a very steep hill, but that hill is enough
to put the brake lights on.
To put the brake lights on all the way down it if you're maintaining 70.
Yes.
It's not slowing down, so it's giving misinformation.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like.
Does that work? I don't know whether you've tried it. It might be something that's something that you could try if you didn't know. Does that work with your cruise control on?
Yes.
Does
it's
it?
Exactly the same.
Right.
In fact, it's worse because it's reacting so quickly. It can actually start to
on and off,
strobing.
I'm with you. Yeah. Okay. So that is something that you've got to be careful of, and it's showing Simon's good skills that he's even thinking about these tell the stories. I call it read the story, tell the story, and you're thinking about them, you know, even with a car. Perfect. It's nice to know. It's nice to know because hopefully someone at Kia might even see the video and then do something about it.
Yeah, because as a driver you can't do anything about that.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Cool. Is there anything that stands out that you really love about the car? You sound as though you're a bit of a tech nerd like me, to be honest, mate. I know you like all your figures and bits and bobs and stuff like that, and it's the bits about the Tesla economy that really I liked most about it. Is there anything that stands out apart from maybe the economy and maybe the value? Is there anything driving wise of this Kia that really stands out for you, mate?
I mean, it's a dynamic drive.
Yeah.
It's not as dynamic as the Jag,
yeah,
but it is a dynamic drive, and you can do long distances in it with ease. And while some people will frown against this, as an advanced driver particularly, using the technology on the motorway, the adaptive cruise,
it's lovely, isn't it?
It does. It gives you a greater cognitive load on the important things.
I agree.
And particularly when you're doing a long drive, when you get to the end and you're having to deal with a city, or you get to the Lake District or wherever, you're not then tired.
Agreed. I must admit, coming across on the 62 today, my Golf has not got its adaptive cruise control working at the minute because I've just had a tow bar fitted.
Right.
And they tap into the electrical system and the car's gone, something's attached to me, and it hasn't been coded because where it got the tow bar fitted, the fella tried to code it and he's had a couple of problems with his laptop, so it's actually going in next week to get coded. So I didn't have my adaptive cruise on coming over, and I totally agree. I love it. If there's one thing that I would have on virtually every single car to take away that cognitive load, it's the adaptive, because it allows you to then concentrate on the other things. You still can't trust it all the time. Sometimes we've already alluded to, and we've heard your car beeping away when you're crossing lines. You can't trust them, but it just takes that little bit off, doesn't it? It allows you to look at other things.
And as I said earlier, I was driving Tesla Model S back in 2014, 2015, the first version of autopilot.
Yeah.
And I did a video actually of driving to London.
Yeah.
On a Monday morning down the M1. It was horrendous, but the car did all the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a result, when I got to London, I wasn't feeling the stress and tiredness of having driven for 3 hours.
That's right.
And able to concentrate on city centre traffic.
That's right. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. I must admit, I don't think, and I'm with you on the early Tesla autopilot systems. I told Simon back in his that I nearly bought a Model S many years ago before I had the Range Rover, and I actually don't think that the autopilot system has evolved that much.
Oh, it didn't. From AP1 to AP2, it went backwards.
Yeah, and even to my vehicle that I've just got rid of, I actually don't think it's come on 8 years or 9 years or so since they've been developing it. All right, I know we don't get the full self-drive over here, do we? I know there's a few people who test it in the States in different parts, but I don't think it's come on. So what other technologies has this car got? It's got the lane assist. Does it help keep you in lane on the motorway with the steering?
Yeah, it will auto steer within lane. It will do auto lane change.
Okay.
So when you look at the technology stack, it's got everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Were they extras, or they came with
On
the
this
GT model? Yeah, okay. I do like your colour as well, mate. It's a beautiful colour.
That was a long debate in the Horton household.
Was it?
Yeah. Long debate.
Absolutely. It was quite similar to the colour of my Golf, to be honest.
There's not a lot of choice.
No.
And another reason we didn't go for the GT.
Yeah.
Because you could only order that in black or white.
Okay.
My Jag was cesium blue.
Yeah.
Best colour ever. So
I
wanted to get the blue.
lighter blue, is it? It's like similar sort of shade as your T-shirt.
A bit darker.
A little bit
if you've
darker.
ever seen it's the Range Rover Sport SVR colour.
Yes, another one.
Yes.
Another
You say that and everybody goes, oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Another one.
So I was naturally drawn to getting a blue one of these.
Yeah.
But the one we went to test drive was a red.
You saw it and liked it.
And we both saw it and liked it.
Yeah.
And because this is red and black, and our other car is black and red, it's a bit on brand.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, absolutely. Simon also does a little bit of photography as well. And he's promised me he's going to send me some nice pictures of his car. So I'm going to.
Make sure you clarify of the car bit. I'm not going to send you scenic shots of hills and lakes.
Of the car. You're right. Tell you what, we're in some nice scenery here. It's a part of the world probably a little bit too far south for my ability to know it. I did play football over in Huddersfield for a little bit, so I was travelling. We're straight ahead of us. I was going to say. I did travel from Liverpool to Huddersfield and back every day, so I'm sort of familiar with different areas. But the roads are quite nice. Not that busy either, mate. To be fair.
No, and this is generally
nicely
speaking,
spotted, by the way. Well done.
Generally speaking, around here, you get this kind of road, or you're driving to Wakefield, and we could have done an hour driving 6 miles around Wakefield.
Yes, yeah. It does show that the abilities of the car out. We don't really want to sit in traffic.
We will go through some towns.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
I said to you as we adjusted the timings of today, try and avoid places with schools.
Yeah.
But it's a nice part of the world.
Absolutely. So charging speeds with the 800 volt system. If you were down at the low levels, 20%, 20 to 80%, just on the top, off the top of your head. Ionity, 250 kilowatt system. What sort of time? You'd probably only be talking 20 minutes, wouldn't you?
Yeah. In fact, it did take a little bit of brain recalibration. There was one example where I pulled into a services near Oxford.
Yeah.
No, I needed just a tiny bit of a top up to get home.
Yeah.
And it put more in than I wanted to in the time it took me to go for a pee and back.
That's right.
It was so fast.
Yeah.
So it does take a little bit of calibration. But,
and that makes it lovely little usage of have I been seen there. That shows brilliant experience. Not just I've got priority, and that's one of my bugbears at the minute. I don't know whether you've realised it absolutely is. Can't stand people who just go, I've got priority. It shouldn't be a problem for me. I'm going to rely on other people to sort me out.
Yeah.
That shows real good quality. So well done. But the charging speed of this will be a big draw as well. Excuse the pun, it wasn't meant to be.
I like it. But it's also, again, it's a variability thing. So we've had some very slow charges.
Yeah.
Even when we've had this one.
Yeah.
So it's that a little bit of the unknown when you need to rely on the network.
Yeah.
Are you going to stop and be there for 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Or are you going to need an hour or longer?
Yeah, to go off and get exactly. And that for me, because I don't drive around the country having to go and be in a meeting at 2 o'clock or whatever, because I don't use the networks like that. The electric charging infrastructure and that downside to it has never really affected me, because I'll please myself.
Yeah.
I'm suspecting it might be different for yourself, who has got to go off and get to a meeting where there could be many people, included within that meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you've got to be there. But you do learn to manage your times that you set off, I think.
Yeah, and also being productive while you're waiting. If you do plan in a longer stop,
Get your computer out and
this
do few
becomes a
bits.
mobile office.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is one of the car's party tricks as well. This has got the zero gravity seats, so you can just click a button and it will put you into a reclined position that is perfect for we're sitting and waiting at a charger for a bit.
Fair play. I'm not going to do
don't
that.
do it
while
now.
No, I was going to say the seats are lovely and comfortable. By the way, they really are. I can see how you could quite happily spend 3 or 4 or 5 hours in this and not come out feeling as though you could do with a visit to the chiropractor. To be honest, it is lovely and comfortable.
And again, it was one of a strange way in which they spec up the GT car.
Yeah.
The GT doesn't have these seats. It has sports seats, but they're also manual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. It's like my Golf.
It's all about lightness.
Yeah.
We're putting nearly 2 tons of car together, but we're going to
save on that tiny little bit. Yeah, that's right.
But that put me off because I had some back issues, and finding a comfortable driving position takes a while.
It does.
And having all of the adjustments that this has got,
Yeah,
just get
suits.
there.
Yeah,
and I thought, that's not going to be the case if I
Yeah.
get manually adjustable.
Is that my rear camera going off? No, just made a little beep. Sometimes the rear camera records a set amount of time and then sort of like goes off. So I don't think our viewers are going to worry that, because I'll just be using a different bit of footage. But anyway, that's what that beat was, if you were wondering. It's a similar sort of story with my Golf, and it's why I've stuck with it, because it's got the adaptive dampers. You can drive it in soft mode where it's comfortable. You can change it as well if you need, and I don't think I would have had the Golf GTI without that part, but this does ride really nicely. There's not much lean to it. It's compliant over the bumps. It's quiet, but there's still that control with it for me. I can feel that sat from this seat.
Yeah. What we did notice was the rear springs are obviously very hard.
Okay.
You don't notice it normally, but when you do hit a bump or you go over a speed bump,
You do feel it,
everything
yeah.
in the boot flies up and down.
I did notice that travelling in the back of my Tesla on a couple of occasions. I don't know whether it might be a setup for the handling and the ride quality. You know, a few manufacturers may do that. I don't know. I'm not an expert on those type of things. I just know what they feel like, and this feels really really comfortable. So the dealership and the brand Kia, the dealership where you got it from, you mention that they've been good and doing whatever they can to help you. A couple of little issues that you've had with it as well. They've been very helpful.
Yeah, and considering we chose to go and buy from a dealership that's not local to us.
Did you? What was your reasoning behind that, Simon?
Bit of a personal contact.
Okay.
Because that's where we went and got our first Kia from.
Okay.
We do know somebody that was working there.
Great.
And they happen to be the only Kia-owned dealership in Europe.
Okay.
Or in Bolton. Shout out to Bolton Kia.
Shout out to Bolton Kia. Why not?
Yeah. So it complicates things when it needs to go backwards and forwards, but when it needed to go in, they provided me with an EV6 loan car for a week.
Doesn't matter then, really, does it?
Yeah, it is brilliant. And like I said, some things are still a little bit outstanding. We had an issue with the doors after they'd put the puddle lights in.
Okay.
That's still ongoing, but
Simon, sorry to interrupt, mate. Simon mentioned to me that a couple of the options that he did pick would dealer fit, and I've seen that a few times with different vehicles as well. So everyone just be aware of when you are ticking option boxes, if you are buying a new car, that some of these options nowadays you'll have to go back to the dealer to get them done. Yeah. Summer wine magic. Tight little roads. There was one coming up to yours that I travelled in on this morning that was hardly wide enough for two vehicles. The one leading up to your road as well, mate.
We tend to avoid it just because you'll just get potholes.
Yeah. Was that my?
That was really going off.
It's my rear cam gone off. Might be overheated, to be fair, mate. So if we've got no rear cam now, I apologise. It's what it is. So did you say what you avoid it because it's potholes?
There's potholes right down by
side
the
of
bottom
it.
of it, and like you say, anybody that's not aware of the width of their vehicle, it can be very difficult to pass.
Yeah. A couple of vehicles that were coming the other way just drove up on the pavement for me as well. I wasn't going to
mention that, but that is the local way of avoiding the issue.
Okay, fair play. Okay. Your restraint's been fabulous as well, Simon. Your restraint with your speed limits. I don't think I've spotted you do 31 miles an hour in a 30 zone, mate. It's been exceptional.
It still, to this day, bugs me. When I did my IAM test, the one markdown I got was 32 going over a humpback bridge, because I let it creep up to 32 in a 30. And
that probably, in hindsight, I know modern cars are a little different. I think the digital dashes are a little bit more accurate to the true speed rather than the old ones, but that probably 32 probably wasn't even 30.
No, it was an indicated 32.
Yeah.
The irony was, I did that test in a car that wasn't mine.
Yep.
And I'd only picked up the day before because mine was in the shop for some work.
Yep.
Which is a bit of a theme.
Yep.
Because when I did my original driving test, my my instructor turned up on the day of my test.
Different car.
In a completely different car because she'd written it off.
So difficult when that happens, and it's difficult on the instructors, but it does happen. It does go like that.
It was quite funny because obviously she borrowed it from another instructor.
Yeah.
Me and the examiner came out of the test centre.
Yeah.
And she's at the end of the street.
Yeah.
With the foot pump blowing up the tyre.
Yeah.
Because it got a slow puncture.
I get you.
Brilliant.
I get you. Just seeing a couple of cyclists that had come past us from the opposite direction. How have you taken to the updates? Oh, that's a big tower. What's that? Is that a communications tower? That one over there?
That's Emily Moore TV transmitter.
Okay.
We'll head for it.
Excellent. Hope we're not going to crash into it, mate.
No, we can have a brief pit stop at the bottom of it because it's a good view from there.
Excellent. How do you find the updates? Just seeing a couple of cyclists coming the other way, they were hitting some speeds down the hill as well, but have you found the updates to be not a problem? I don't suspect they would have been for a man of your calibre driving, mate. Have you found any issues with them?
Not issues as such. I think it's settled down a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think when the code and the updates came out, a lot of cyclists took that as an opportunity to take over the road, and it's not doing them a disservice.
No.
It was an interpretation of how the road was being run.
Agreed.
I think that's settled down a bit.
I do.
And I think overall it's been good. It's caused you to think more about the vulnerable users. And give them the passing distance. And I'm sure you've experienced it as well. Sometimes you can get frustration from cars behind if you're not passing when they think you should be passing.
Correct. And that's only from people who don't know. I still don't think the rollout's been good enough. I think DVSA and highways agencies have been poor with how it's gone out. But people are getting it a little bit better. It's just, I'm suspecting you're going to be similar to me. It won't affect you that much, but other people who don't know it then impact on what you're doing. Like you said, people may be beeping the horn or getting frustrated because you're doing the correct thing and they just don't know what they really should be doing.
Yeah, and it's giving priority to pedestrians on junctions turning into. I have a real issue with the roundabout one because I think that's in most cases unsafe.
Yeah, it can very well be.
But that's mainly because the roads have been designed for flow of traffic.
They have, and roundabouts are there to create best traffic flow, but yet they're wanting people to give way to the entrances and exits. I would say exits are the more dangerous ones, or can be, but I just want to reiterate that it's a should. So just look at each situation on its own merits. But I would like to clarify as well that I still get loads of people in the comments saying it doesn't apply to roundabouts. Roundabouts aren't junctions. Categorically, they do apply. But again, don't forget it's a should, and just be aware of your surroundings and give way if it's safe to. That's it really.
Well, the road markings say so, don't they? When you exit a roundabout, you are passing over a give-way line.
Yeah, although there's
Most
no
cases.
markings to exit that roundabout, because the marking coming into it is a single line saying you give way to the right, and I think that's why people do get confused with it, because they look at no road markings leaving a roundabout and think that it's not a junction. So I get where you're coming from, you're absolutely right, but yeah, all we can do is just keep on spreading that message. So if you don't mind me asking, I'm not interested in numbers. Did you purchase, did you lease, did you HP, did you PCP, did you buy it outright? What did you do with your car?
We have PCP'd all of our vehicles for years.
Yeah, I think that's
And
the
we
best
just
way
carry on.
I think that's the best way to do it a lot of the time. Cool.
And a lot of the time it's because once you're in the cycle,
Yeah,
it's just a natural thing to just carry on.
agreed. Were you able to get into your PCP before the interest rates and everything came up? Because there's a fair hike in them at the minute. I think the prices of the cars have gone a little bit higher because the interest rates have gone up a little
absolutely. And I'm not going to say any different. As we said earlier, I got my part exchange done just at the right time.
bit. Yeah,
I ordered this car almost 12 months before I got it.
yeah,
Price was fixed.
brilliant.
So it had also gone up £8,000 on ticket value, and in terms of a finance deal, it was just before the price increase. So it was win-win-win.
Touch.
Yeah, quite happy with that.
Touch. Absolutely. How long do you usually keep your cars for as well?
Good question. We generally is 3 years.
Yeah.
My wife's car is coming up to 3 years, and I think it's the first time we're going to consider holding on to it.
Fair play. Fair play.
And that's because
Yeah.
her mileage is so low now compared to what it was before.
Yeah.
And we love the car, and
Yeah.
it's got a 7-year warranty.
Yeah, that's right. That's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you reminded me, because that is the thing for me with the Kias that make it stand out brilliantly, is the length of the warranty. I think Hyundai as well, they do the same as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I was talking to someone a little bit earlier on about track use on a car. Someone in my family asked me about would I take my Golf round a track, and I said no, because it invalidates the warranty a lot of the time. And he said that Hyundai actually allow you to go and do track use on their sort of like equivalent of my Golf. But I do think that the warranty situation for the Kia is another massive big selling point as well. Absolutely. You can usually tell what are the good vehicles to buy, because a lot of the taxi drivers use the Kias as well nowadays, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you find the size of the EV6 to be an issue at all on, we've already talked about the narrowness of the roads, do you feel as though that's an issue anywhere around in the areas that you live? Because sometimes the roads have been quite tight where we've driven through.
I'm going to say no, just because this is the size of vehicle I've always been used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we went through some of my potted history, but yeah, not really a small car person.
No, that's right. This is an awkward little one as well, mate. Do you want me to get my massive head out of the way?
No, your massive head is not in the way. You're all right there.
And that's a nice little thing for passengers as well. Appreciate the view of the driver. The driver or the pilot is the most important person in the car, so you've got to make sure that their view is good. Learn to do what I've done at certain times as well. Shut up when they need to concentrate and move your fat head out of the way if it's as big as my fat head. But anyway, I think that's just the really good. Golf driver as well, mate. Got to be careful of them.
Dodgy.
Funny. But yeah, I've been really impressed with the Kia. Absolutely. There's a lot of space as well. My seat's fairly far back. I'm stretching my legs virtually out in front of me, but
If you've not moved it, I'm pretty certain my wife will have had it all the way back.
Yeah.
Because she likes to recline.
I think I did just slightly tilt the seat, and we've got nice electrically operated seats, as Sam's alluded to as well. Has it got memory function on the seats as well?
Yeah, just two memories.
Two memories, that's all you need generally, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Generally two people who use it. So is this tower still in use, is it?
Yes, I can give you the full potted history, but I won't. You'll see there is two towers currently.
Yeah.
The metal one that's next to it was a temporary structure put in while they did some work on the concrete one.
Kept it.
The concrete, well, it's due to come down.
Oh, right, okay.
But it's a helicopter job to lift it, take bits off it.
I get you.
The concrete one...
You can see the wires, sorry to interrupt, you can see all the wires supporting it, can't you?
Yeah, the concrete one, for a long time,
Yeah.
was the tallest freestanding structure in Europe, I'm going to say.
Ah, right,
There is
okay.
a notice board. It dipped out of the top 10
Yeah.
when they did the work because they took a number of meters off the top of it
Okay.
when they converted it to digital.
Yeah, I get you.
So,
Is this the highest point for a long way around then,
Yeah.
I'm suspecting?
Yeah.
So out of interest, just a little point there, that may have been a corner that you could have offsided. I'm not saying you should. Are you familiar with offsiding? Is it something that you often do, or are you just being on your best behaviour because Ashley's in the car?
I would, where there's an opportunity in most cases.
Yeah.
And in most cases it's either for visibility or for just to make a bit more progress.
Yeah.
It was a big talking point when I did my IM. They were trying to move to not doing offsiding as part of the training.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a little bit naive.
Yeah.
If you train it in properly, then the reasons for doing it are there.
Yeah. I must admit, I think some of the advanced training, I'm not sure how they do it now. I've had a couple of people give some bad reports of it recently as well, unfortunately. But a few of the advanced training courses, I've found that people get told about offsiding, but they don't look into it in enough detail to let people make the decision when it's good and when it's not and how it should be used. It's as though this is an advanced technique, I should be heading across this corner if the black car wasn't coming the other way.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Exactly.
And that's one of my little grumbles with some of the advanced training. I'm not sure how far they go. It probably is something that I do need to try and chase IAM Road Smart up, because they did promise me a course, but they didn't get back to me, Simon. So yeah. So that is a big one, that. Obviously it's bigger when you get close to it, but wicked. Nice sights. Never been up here, mate.
I will have a quick pit stop here.
That's all right.
I would like a glug of water, and it's a nice day. You can see the view.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tractor country as well, absolutely. Nice job.
That was one of those A-pillar moments, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
Couldn't see the face.
Certainly was, yeah.
Now, is that rock or dirt or just dirt?
Well done. Yeah, I'd do the same as well. All good. Myself and Simon stretched our legs and Simon took this photo. He knew what he was doing, didn't he?
It never fails whenever I stop in this lay-by. You tend to arrive and it be empty. And then because people see a car park there, they go, oh, there's a lay-by.
Can park in there, yeah. Is my head all right, mate?
Yeah, you're fine there.
All good. So yeah, have you? Are we heading north at the moment? Would we be heading north, or I'm trying to get my bearings. I'm lost, if I was honest, mate.
We're northeast at the minute.
Northeast.
You can see Drax now.
Yeah.
Because that's the...
Oh, the power station in the far distance. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So those two other towers are the last remaining parts of Eggborough Power Station.
Okay. Yeah, there's a environmental decision that we make when we buy an electric vehicle. It was one of the reasonings behind me getting a Tesla, but it was a little bit of a stupid one on my part because I had two cars. Brilliant, mate. Have I been seeing? Superb. Love that. Is that a big part of you and your personality? Are you a environmentalist? Are you going to, get me back to yours and there's going to be paint stripper all over my car because it's a petrol engine.
No, no, not at all. I think we alluded to it earlier. It's about doing a little bit for what we can on decarbonising the grid and being a bit more environmental.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what attracts me to electric vehicles is the way that they drive.
Ah, right, that's nice as well.
That's the key point for me.
I agree. I think they're perfectly suited. I think we did talk about it before. I think they're perfectly suited to today's roads. But yeah, there has to be, I think, an environmental part to buying a EV. Now, we're not going to go into it today. This is going to be another discussion we're going to have for another time. I might even actually ask some of your input when I put this video together. But the carbon effect of actually electric vehicle production, it's something that's still probably a little bit misunderstood, and the length of time that you need to operate the EV for it to become worthwhile. Is it okay if I get in contact with you in the future and get your thoughts on that as well, Simon?
Yeah.
Do you think you'd be able to help me out with that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And like a lot of things that I do, I have a very pragmatic viewpoint. I'm not an anorak in any of those senses, so I'm just trying to get a bit of sense put together.
Yeah, a little bit like how I try and operate this blasted channel of mine as well, mate, isn't it? Lovely. If you ever need a job as a driving instructor, mate, give us a shout. I'll gladly train you. Could easily do my job, mate.
Cool.
Wouldn't fancy that? Brilliant.
I think you get a lot of kudos, or you should get a lot of kudos. And I think we were talking about you getting into the passenger seat and feeling relaxed, and that's one of the things I get pride in, is that people should feel relaxed as a passenger in one of my vehicles. But to get in on the other side when the other person hasn't got a clue, I mean, we probably do that on a regular basis, but
there is training to it, though, mate, like anything, and there's never an issue.
Be positive.
Be positive. Yeah, good. Like that.
You're right, if it was a BMW.
Yeah, be careful. I've had a couple of them as well, mate. But the reach is a certain point where you sort of need to do that, because you're going to be holding traffic up from one particular direction. You've got to think of best flow for everyone. I would have done something similar there as well, mate. Absolutely. All good. So the pride that you do take in your driving, just had a little cab with you while we had our little break there. It seems as though it's something that that's just sort of like built into you. We've just discussed with Simon little bits about his work, and he sort of like takes the same view. You're trying to be the best possible person you can, but still appreciative that there could very well be errors, and just learn from them. Have you always been like that, or is it just our tender years that sort of like gets you a little bit more like that as we get older?
No, I think I picked it up reasonably early on, and like I said, it's a long time since I did my driver training, so I chose to do that. It wasn't a decision I made, other than I want to be better at this thing. And it was partly from a position of safety, but also I really enjoy driving, and I wanted to be as good as I could be.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Are there any different differences with the drive modes in this EV6, mate? How do they affect the actual driving of the car? The responsiveness. Does it affect the regen braking or anything like that? Does it do anything to it?
Yeah, I mean, this car's, like most EVs, has got 3 modes.
Okay.
It's in normal mode most of the time.
Yep.
It has a dynamic mode which improves throttle response.
Yep.
Doesn't do anything for the suspension.
Sharpens the steering up a little bit?
I'm not sure it does.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure it does. To be honest, I very rarely use it. And one of the reasons is that to switch modes...
Good.
Because it's all a drive-by-wire, if I was to put it in drive sport now, or dynamic, we would accelerate without me moving my foot.
Wow.
Because it reprograms the throttle
Ah, right. Okay. So if you've got a little bit of press, it thinks, that's probably
odd.
that's a little bit, I wouldn't say dangerous. I'm glad you brought that up, because that could be putting you into a dangerous situation on occasions if you didn't know about it.
Yeah, and I was watching a video a while ago where somebody was one of these people that would go normal sport every time they were in and out of speed limit changes and things like that. You can't do that with this. If you do it on the move, you've got to be really conscious of whether you've got to press on the throttle or not.
Wow. That's something I've never heard of in any other vehicle, and I would just like to jump in at this point and ask my viewers, do you know any other vehicle that acts in that particular way? Because that is odd to me, and I'm glad that you've brought it up. Have you ever experienced any other vehicle like that?
No.
Me neither. Interesting.
So I very rarely use it. As I said, it doesn't increase the power output, it just increases the response.
Yeah.
So it's I've got all of the 300 and something available to me anyway.
And response for me is always a reaction. Unless you're using it in a track scenario, honestly, it makes no difference.
Yeah, I'll put it in dynamic mode for you in a bit, and we can see the difference.
Yeah.
The other thing we were talking about from a regen braking point of view.
Yeah.
This car the EV6 seems to be fairly unique. I've got it in currently auto regen level 3.
Yeah. Can you change the regen with the paddles?
So I can increase it,
Yeah.
decrease it if I want to.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I don't tend to decrease it.
Okay.
I will increase it. Good example is...
Steep hill.
Not necessarily, it's
Okay.
motorway slip roads.
Ah,
So
right.
coming
okay.
off the motorway, if you want to, if it's a short slip road, you might increase it.
Yes. Okay.
But this auto mode is quite good. I don't know whether you can see.
can
It's
see it
currently
down there,
green
yeah.
on
Yeah.
the word auto
Yes.
because it's detecting that car.
Right. Okay. I'm just
So-
going to quickly get a little video.
So
of
if
that.
I was to use regen now,
Yeah.
it would vary the amount of regen depending on how close we get to that car. So coming up to this roundabout, it will, if I lift off now, yeah, that's the full amount of regen.
Yeah.
As we get to the roundabout and it sees that car is getting closer to us, it will increase.
Okay. Is it fully one pedal as well?
You
will
can have it as
You
one
can
pedal.
have it as one pedal
Yeah,
driving.
so it's increased it now.
Yeah. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
It's quite clever that as well, isn't it?
yeah. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, because most of the time when it increases the regen, it's just as you're going for the pedal to brake.
So you've got to trust
you-
it to do it.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to trust it. Otherwise you get double effort.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I'm
So
glad
it's-
you brought that up as well.
Yeah, and it's amplified. If you turn it down to say level 2,
Yes.
it will still go up to max.
Okay.
So the difference from what you were from a normal to when it decides to
Do it. Yeah.
regen.
That's interesting. It's interesting that I think sometimes some of the manufacturers do tend to try and solve problems that aren't there
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
and it does it based on the car in front, but
Yeah.
it will also do it based on descent.
Okay.
So it will increase the regen going downhill. That's right. That's quite useful. But it does take getting used to. You've got to know it.
You've got to know how it works. Did you find out about this before you got the car?
No.
No. It was something that you've noticed as you've done your 5,500 miles, and you've just got you.
No, actually, no. I found out about it when I read the manual from front to back when I got the car.
Did you read the manual?
Yes, mate.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and I've just confessed that, and you can bleep it out if you
No,
want.
that's
But,
perfect.
yeah, I do.
God, that's impressive. You know, I don't think I've ever read a manual. We're shooting on a new camera that I'd just bought, and I literally got the camera out the box and just left the manual in the box and took the camera out, and that's it. It's stuck in the cupboard now. But anyway, but that's interesting. It just shows you the importance of reading the manuals of the vehicles that you do purchase.
Yeah, because something like that, you wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't
And
know.
also, it wasn't delivered with it set like that.
Okay, you've had to change
So
the
I've
settings.
had to go into a setting
okay.
and say, yes, I want auto regen.
Interesting. Do you think cars are getting a little too complicated now, or are they aiding us reducing complication in certain ways, but then increasing it in others. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would agree. Some of the technology is becoming harder to use, but a lot of it is making the job easier.
Yeah, I think some of it is unnecessary, in my opinion, but I'm quite old.
I come up with a great phrase.
Go on.
There's a lot of times with these things you say, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Should. Yeah.
And that applies to a lot of this tech.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Selling points and gimmicks a lot of the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough to get that balance because you want your car with all the tech, you want your car with your adaptive cruise control. I find that a useful thing, that if there was a car that I was going to go off and purchase, that would be one of my number one things.
Right, so here we are, I'm doing 30.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of a hill coming up.
Yeah.
So if I was to go, I'm going into a national speed limit, I'm going to put
different
I'm
mode.
going to put in. Oh no.
That's all right, mate. Do you want me to there?
If you can.
Is that?
And then pause.
There we go. Sound. That's all right. Go on then. What were you going to say? Sorry about the national speed. What were you going to demonstrate there, mate?
I'm just going to go into dynamic mode.
Right.
And this is how infrequent I use it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where it is.
There you go. There you go. And that's key to it, because there's not an obvious place sometimes with some of these vehicles that we operate in. It's hard getting into different vehicles, but this proves that our point that we're just talking about, that is that an unnecessary technology that then sometimes might take your attention away from these two pedestrians just while you're trying to put it into dynamic mode, because you know that you've got all right, it looks as though we've got a quiet section, a slow section up ahead. But if that wasn't the case and it was a national speed limit section, your attention's taken away.
Covering distance, yeah.
And that's perfect. And that's a lovely little teaching point, that don't mess with your cars when you've got other things that you need to. It's perfect. Superb. But yeah, if you get a chance, would you try and demo that as well by keeping your foot in that same spot and see whether pressing the mode select, do you know where it is now? You remember where it is? No, don't
really got a mental block on it.
Is that drive mode?
There you are. Well done, thank you. See, it says drive mode on it. It's a big button.
That's all right. That's okay.
If we'd had the GT version, that's green.
Ah, right. Okay. It's like the I think BMW do it with the red M buttons, don't they? I don't know. It's all gimmicky again. So yeah, I'm glad you've talked about that, because it's a funny little setup. All good.
Now I've come this way.
Go
on. Purposely taking you down a road that I hate.
Okay, why do you hate it? What's your reasoning behind it?
Well, it featured on one of your episodes recently.
Okay, all right.
That's not the reason I hate it.
Okay.
Sorry.
What happened?
It was a driving fail where a motorcycle had overtaken a cyclist, came round a bend, and then was greeted by a Range Rover white Evoque, I think it was, coming the wrong way on their side of the road.
I know the one.
Yeah.
I know the one. Yeah.
And it's a real problem on this road.
On this road, yeah.
It's quite narrow.
Yeah.
Because it's the one we're going
that way on. Yeah.
It's quite narrow. It's got terrible runoff areas. It's got banked sides. It's got no curbs.
Yeah.
We try and avoid it.
I see.
But I thought I'd come this way so that you can go the way that the Range Rover went and go.
Yeah. Is that a common problem with people overtaking, whether it be cyclists or motorcyclists on that road? Is that the biggest danger with it?
I think it's not the biggest danger. The biggest danger is what we see is the people on the wrong side of the road, because that was only a Range Rover.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit of a rat run.
Yeah.
So you can get oversized vehicles going down
there. Okay.
And cyclists.
Let's go and have a little look at it. Yeah, we've all got to appreciate the more vulnerable. People still don't do that. What's a turning circle like?
It's actually very good.
Is it?
Yeah.
We see whether we can go all the way around it. Will you need to cut this at all? I don't think you will you? Oh, it's actually very good, isn't it? For the size of the car, the turning circle's excellent.
Yeah.
It's very good.
And it's another Achilles heel of electric cars, because they tend to push the wheels out to the corners.
Yeah.
because they've got to fit the battery pack in the middle.
Correct, yeah.
But no, it's actually very good.
The Tesla was rubbish, to be fair, turn and circle. My Model 3, not very good. Not very good. All good. So how long have you been watching my channel then, Simon? Have you been watching it for a few years, or is it a new thing to you?
No, it's definitely a few years.
Right.
Probably only a recent contributor.
Okay. I know you have sent me a couple of clips, and you know what? I didn't put two and two together with the clips, and I know you mentioned in yours. I didn't put. You have to appreciate. I do
Here's
get
a good example of extra regen coming down the hill.
Yes.
So I haven't had to brake.
Yeah. Didn't brake at all there either. I will say to everyone there was no brake pressure whatsoever, which is good. But yeah, I only put two and two together with the clips that you mentioned when we were at yours, that they were your clips, and you have to excuse me, Simon, I get sent in, honestly. I'll be in tonight looking at people's clips for probably about 2 hours after I get in, to be honest. I get sent that many. It is much appreciated, everyone who sends me these clips.
So you see this road looks like it's opening out.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's
Road surface not brilliant either.
No.
It's quite undulating, and it is very narrow.
And we've got a double bends, risk of horses.
Yeah.
You know it's narrow when the slow on the road doesn't fit in your side.
Absolutely. And I did mention it while we were out the car. The EV6 does look as though it's a wide vehicle. There's plenty of space in between me and you. We're not sat elbow to elbow or anything like that. Couldn't tell you the width. I don't expect you to know the width, but I'll.
That was where the Range Rover was coming round.
Yes.
I think
it is narrow.
Yes.
But yeah, it's an awkward little area. I understand. But
let's be fair. I would like to make progress. But I've now picked up 4 tails because I'm not going as fast as people want me to go.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go pick up any more speed down there.
No, I agree. I would have taken a similar pace to yourself there as well. I don't think it would have been any quicker. Absolutely. Cool. So yeah, the width. I'm going to put the width of the EV6 on the screen. I'm going to let people know the width. I'm just going to compare it to my Golf. It does feel a fair bit wider, and our car's going to reach a point because, all right, if we just go back to the Golf that we remember in the 70s when it came out, it's no bigger than the smallest Ford KA nowadays, is it? It's a tiny little thing, the Mark 1 Golf. Look at the size of it now. When are we going to reach that sort of we can't go any bigger? I think we've actually probably got that now, would you say?
I would say because we're reaching the limits of our road infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to park in a parking space, but roads like that and the one that you alluded to earlier on the way up to us.
Yeah.
I really am picking the most awkward roads to drive.
It's all right, yeah. Test yourself. Absolutely. Yeah, no issues with the cut of the corner. If you see it's clear, I've never a problem with that. The reason why I'll sometimes talk against it is that most people don't cut the corners with that conscious decision in mind. They'll cut them. This is pretty awkward as well, mate, isn't it? Yeah, most people cut the corners because they don't realise they're cutting them. They're just looking over the bonnet. But yeah, nothing wrong with a cut of the corner if you know it's clear. You'll have to be careful doing that on driving tests, though. That's sort of like we're moving into the straight lining roundabouts discussion. We're not going to go there today. You try and keep things moving. Even more so since you've had the electric vehicle, Simon. What do you think? Do you try and do your utmost to keep things on the way?
Yeah, and actually that's where these EV come into their own, really.
I think so.
Because you can modulate your speed so easily.
Yes.
because you're not swapping and changing between pedals,
Yes.
that it just becomes second nature to do that.
I agree.
I've got a clip in my outbox ready to go to you that's one of those examples where you're just improving flow by modulating a little bit of your speed.
Yes.
Because you can.
Yes, you can. People don't get that. Again, it goes back to what I've said to you about have we been seen, and it's the same sort of decision for me as people go, my priority, I'm carrying on, and they're the people who will also go 30 miles an hour, I'm doing 30. And it's the same sort of decision making for me, that they're too unwilling to change for the best flow for everyone. So you're absolutely right. God, it is awkward one, mate, isn't it? Am I heading away?
No.
No? Am I alright? Oh yeah, it's this way, innit? You can tell, I didn't even look at that junction left and right. You must have made me feel comfortable, mate, because I didn't even bother seeing where the junction to the left was there. Good effort. So,
Well, home for us is up here.
Yeah,
I'm going to carry on a little bit just to do the change to dynamic mode that we talked about.
okay, that'd be
And then
really
we'll-
good. And then we'll whiz round and come back. Very good. So yeah, is there anything that you would like to see? I'm talking to my viewers here, not you, Simon. You can chip in as well. Is there anything that you would like to see on the channel? Is there any other electric vehicles? We are still going to try and get down and go and drive the Ford Corsair that I went down to the NEC to go and see. We are going to get that one in. Just the weather's quite guaranteed to be like it is today, and I think we're going to wait until the weather can be probably a little bit better before we take the Corsair out. But that's something going forward. Is there anything that you would like to see on the channel? Is there anything that interests you that you think, oh, that'd be good to go and see Ashley go and have a look at?
It's an interesting question. I don't have an immediate answer.
That's all right, that's okay. I'm going to leave that to the viewers then. It'd be nice to hear in the comments. And like I said, if you've got anything, please do get in touch. Send us some pictures of your car, tell me a little story. And this could be you very shortly as well, because we're going to do one of these quite often. So how does this dynamic mode work then? So if you have your foot effectively on the rate of acceleration that you've got, it then, when you press the button, it takes that as 0, or how does it sort of like recalibrate?
So we go into a national speed limit here that's uphill.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we go around the bend,
Yeah, your foot's going to stay.
I will hold
Still.
it steady because
Yes.
we're going up a hill,
Yes.
and not on the bend because I've learnt my lesson.
Good.
Just to change them out.
Yeah.
Once it gets on the straight, I'll
Yeah.
switch modes.
So your foot's still.
Right. So foot still, dynamic mode.
Wow.
Haven't moved it, and I'm now doing.
And that rate of acceleration difference is quite significant, isn't it?
Yeah. So we were holding at 43, and I backed off at 55.
Interesting. Interesting. I think that would catch most people out, to be honest.
And it's now immediate on
Yep.
just a small amount of.
Small amount of pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's interesting their decisions behind that. Like we said a little bit earlier on, is there anything that you've seen on the market that does something similar? I'll be interested in everyone's comments. So I think that just about wraps it up. Me and Simon are going to turn around somewhere and get heading back. Thank you so much, Simon, for this invite. It's been an absolute pleasure. Simon, your level of driving, mate, is up there. I felt really comfortable. It's like being chauffeured. Do you take that same level of sort of like professionalism, and do you keep your standards up, just like we've seen Simon doing today? It is important. We're driving killing machines at the end of the day, especially when we've seen touch of a button we can go from 40 to 55 within a second or two. So it is important with these powerful vehicles that are becoming more mainstream. Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, Ashley.
Well done today, and I'll see everyone soon.